everyone, Dawn of Sunshine Stitches. Today we're working on these little trinket bags. And there's going to be 6 sizes. They're lined and they're stitched on your embroidery machine for the quilting. And the rest is on your domestic machine. So let's get started. You're going to need 2 pieces of your outer fabric with a lightweight stabilizer. You're going to need 2 pieces of cotton, also with a lightweight stabilizer, and 2 pieces of low loft quilt batting. You're going to need to stitch on the quilted portion. You're going to need to stitch 2 of them. The first step is your outline. The next step, before you start, you need to add your quilt batting to the back. So we're going to tape that in place to secure it. And you're going to lay your quilt fabric on top of your hoop on the right side. Also tape that in place. So your front hoop should look like this. You should see the right side of your fabric. The back of your hoop should look like this. I'm going to go ahead and do the first quilted panel, and I'll be right back. Okay, our first panel has been quilted, and there's the front, there's the back. I'm going to do the second panel, and I'll be right back. Okay, both panels have been quilted. After you take it out of the hoop, you want to remove your tearaway, your tape, and trim it to match your outer fabric. You'll need 2 outer fabric and 2 quilted panels. I'm going to trim this and I'll be right back. Okay, all 4 panels are set. You're going to put right sides together, match your panels. The outer panels go together. The inner panels go together. And this is where we move to the domestic machine. So you'll be stitching these on your regular sewing machine. Just clip all your ends in place, and we're going to use a 1/4 inch seam down both sides. So both panels should be matched, right sides together, matching fabrics, and you're going to stitch down each edge. 1/4 inch seam. Be right back. Okay, our sections are put together. This is the outer section with a 1/4 inch seam down the short side. The same for the quilted, which I'm using for my inner portion of the bag. Turn that right side out. Once you have that turned to the right side out, place it inside your outer bag, match up your seams, and these can get a little bulky, so you're going to want to offset the seam just a bit. Push one side to the left and one side to the right. Pin that all the way around the top. Okay, it's all pinned in place. I'm going to run a 1/4 inch seam. I like to sew from the inside, so I'm going to place this portion under my zipper foot and run a 1/4 inch seam all the way around that top. Okay, we have our 1/4 inch seam joining our inner and outer bag together. You wanted to make sure that your seams lay in opposite directions. It's going to get a little bulky, so I'm going to go in and trim these right now before we go any further. Okay, I've trimmed all but this last one. And you're not taking off much, but it does help reduce some of the bulk in the seam. So once that's all trimmed, see, it was very little. You're going to stitch across the long side of your outer panel, and you're going to stitch in approximately 2 finger lengths or about 1.5 inches on your quilted panels on each end, leaving an opening to turn the bag. Now all should be stitched around your edges except about a 2.5 inch opening in your quilted portion. Now we're going to make our little corners. Let me get this situated. Okay, once you have your point out, you see how I flattened it from this to this. Going from the edge of your seam, you're going to mark off your corner to stitch. Every bag will have a different amount taken up in the corners, and those will all be in the written directions. So we're going to do that 3 more times on the other corners and stitch all those corners. So after I do that, I'll be right back. Okay, all 4 of our corners have been stitched. Now we're going to trim them. And again, you want to leave about a 1/4 inch seam. Depending on what you're using, this can get a little bulky. So use the appropriate needle for your machine, whatever the manufacturer would like. So there, we're all trimmed. Now you're going to turn it right side out. And this is why you want to leave about a 2.5 inch seam, because you want to make sure that you're past where you made your corners. So I'm going to turn this right side out. Okay, it's turned right side out. There's our opening. We're going to have to either close that on the machine or by hand. There is the bottom base of our bag, outer bag. You're going to push that in. Just like so. You want to make sure that your edges are in the right spot. And we're going to stitch all the way around the top of that, about a 1/4 inch. Okay, we're all stitched around the top. I used a very scant 1/4 inch seam. Now we're going to close this up in our center. I'm going to use the machine today. Normally I hand stitch these. So just fold your edges in and close that opening. I'll be right back. Okay, I went ahead and hand stitched it. I just like that better. Push it down into the bottom. Roll your edges over. Okay, the little ones take a little longer to get situated, but these are great for earrings, paper clips, tiny stuff you don't want to lose. There will be 6 sizes. This is next to the smallest. This is the largest. So, and I love it because I have my clips, my needle, my seam ripper, my chalk, my scissors, my tweezers. I can grab this and move from spot to spot and have everything I need. Thanks so much. Have a sunshine day.